Hey guys, so the Summer Sweep Up, which everyone's been looking forward to, has now been released. So I thought I'd quickly go over what's going on, see if we like the changes or not. I haven't read this yet, so we can go through this together. So then let's have a look. This is them just talking about the Sweep Up. So hunter improvements. So they say that hunter is the second most recent skill behind sailing. And here's what changes: falconry. You will no longer be held in place when the falcon is chasing a kebbit. That seems good. You'll be able to ask your falcon to catch a kebbit even if your inventory is full, and the resources will go on the floor. So yeah, that's a good change. I feel like the moving while you're catching the kebbit is a very small quality of life. The majority of the time, you'd actually just stand next to the respawn. It's quicker that way. Nice. So let's have a look at aerial fishing, what we want to do with that. Okay, so they're increasing the distance at which you'll be able to perform quick catches from a 3x3 to a 4x4. So I guess that means that you can get more quick catches. That's when the bird goes out and then comes back fairly quickly. They've added a toggle to the angler that allows you to commemorate to eat fish in your bird to eat fish in your inventory. That's nice. That's actually a really good change. So you won't have to make it into fish cuts. The bird will just eat the fish that you catch. Because everything from aerial fishing you want to get rid of anyway, so yeah, that's good. You lose out on the cooking XP, but cooking is such an easy skill to train. So a larger pool will spawn that you can send your camera out several times in a row, which adds a little downtime period. Okay, that's nice. So there'll be a big pool, and then you'll be able to just click it multiple times, and it'll fish from that big pool. Increase mock pearls. That's nice for any cloggers out there. And they're reducing the fishing sack from 1,000 to 500. The fish sack you can combine with the barrel, as long as it's got the left click to fill and empty. That's okay. Then you can have it in your. I mean, I still prefer the fishing sack in my inventory anyway. But I guess with the new empty containers, you can go onto the bank, click empty container, and it'll empty it from the container in your backpack. So yeah, that'll save an extra slot. That might be quite good. Now then, deadfall traps. Deadfall traps are generally associated with the earliest of hunter levels. No one does deadfall traps really late game. Unless you're doing mechanical monkeys, which is meant to be quite an AFK hunter method. So we're increasing the deadfall trap limit to 2 instead of 1. Maniacal monkeys, which is what we're talking about. They're still getting the 1 trap limit. And they're doing that because it would skyrocket the XP rates too far for the intensity. Yeah, okay, that's fair enough. So maniacal monkeys is the AFK way to gain hunter XP. That's good. Sometimes it can preserve a log, which is also good. It means less time having to cut trees down. That'd be quite nice for the moonlight and sunlight antelopes. It'd be able to catch the animals quicker from 8 ticks instead of 15 ticks. Because at the moment you have to wait a bit of time for the animal to go up to it and jump over. So that'll save an extra 5 seconds per catch, which is good. They're increasing the wild kebbit catch rates by 2.5. Yeah, that's good. And lower the XP given by wild, bobbed, prickly and saber-toothed kebbits and pyrofoxes by 20%. I don't think you had to nerf it. It said they're still doing a 6% increase from XP. But Hunter's one of those skills where it's not that fun anyway. So I think you could have just gave it a flat buff instead of decreasing and increasing in other places. You can now do 2 traps at level 1, so this is good for lower level hunters. The Ring of Pursuit now reveals full tracks even after one's already been started. That's decent. We have a drop rate and pity rate for the butterfly and moth. Okay, so yeah, so I do the butterflies and you do have to click a lot. But now it's going from 1 in 75 to 1 in 40, which is good. I think the pity just increases the chance of you getting a rumour. Grant 30 hunt XP for killing a chompy bird. Yeah, I guess. Then if you're going for chompy pets, that'll be a little bit extra XP. Agility changes. Now here's the big one, because everybody hates agility. Now Hallis Speckiver is something I really enjoy. Lower floor 4 limit from 77 to 82. That is massive. Getting it down to 77. And then lowering the floor 5 entry limit to 87 instead of 92. Again, massive. Because at the moment, you have to do all this agility to get to 92, which is half of the way to 99, just before you even get access to getting the... Oh, they're buffing it over here, though. Before you get access to the Ring of Endurance. Okay, so you can now get to level 5 quicker. You can do it at level 87 agility, which is good. Means you'll benefit more from XP rates. But you still can't do the Grand Coffin until you get 92 agility. So... they're just trying to keep the Ring of Endurance price up for some reason. Even though to me, I think it should be something more easily accessible. Because agility is not much of an issue anymore. So having access to a nice QOL ring earlier would have been nice. This is massive. So you can now boost for floor entry, meaning that a player level 72 agility can eat a summer pie to gain access to floor 4. Okay, so that's massive. I've already got 82 agility. So that means I could 84, I think. So that means I can already boost to get into into floor 5 using agility potions or summer pie. So that's a really, really good change. I like that a lot. And I like Hello Sepulchre. I do wish the XP rates were a bit higher. Let's read some more. Maybe they will increase the XP rate. So no, they're not increasing XP rates. They're just increasing how quickly you can get to floor 5 for those boosted XP rates. The Colossal Worm. They're increasing the duration of the Colossal Worm agility cost by 25 to 30%. They're increasing the XP. Is that taking away or increasing it? Increase the duration of course by 25-30%. They're increasing the XP and termites to match. So it's the same XP per hour and 10 minutes per hour. Okay, so it's just going to be a bit more AFK. So you want to do AFK Colossal Worm agility, you now can. I feel like when you hit 80s, 82, you're probably going to want to do Hallow Sepulchre. I didn't have a plan for what I'm going to do to AFK my agility up. So it might be the Colossal Worm. So I think I really like the change that you can get into level 5 quicker. I don't like that they kept Hallow Sepulchre at 92 agility to open the chest. To get the Ring of Endurance, it's already not worth that much anyway. If we go into the tracker, we go into the Ring of Endurance. So it's worth 3.7 mil. Yeah, I don't actually see high of 13 mil. I don't think they should be gatekeeping the Ring of Endurance. It's actually a really nice item, and gatekeeping it behind 92 agility, I'm not too happy with. I also think they could have boosted the XP rates off pretty much every form of agility, and they still wouldn't be broken. Hallow Sepulchre should be, to me, 150, 170k XP an hour, and then you can have your more AFK things where you make them more in line with 70, 80k XP an hour. I think what we did really well with sailing was salvaging was quite AFK, but you got really good XP rates, and these skills that have nowhere near as many benefits as sailing does, such as agility, I think you can really buff the XP rates and it won't be a bad thing. Let's talk about shortcuts. So adding some new shortcuts. Any of these massive? Start with Giant's Plateau, Edge of a Dungeon. So if you don't have a breast key, Edge of a Dungeon, that's okay, I guess. You can jump from down to the bottom floor from Arcade Library, that's good if you're doing clues. A trail step on Mosselhamas, that's where you have to, at the moment you go through the cave, and then you have to run past all the cave horrors at the northeast. So again, that's for clues. West Providence allowing quick access to Ali the Hag's hut to the nearby plateau. I think where that is. Polvinage. I can't remember last time I went to Porvin. It's in the desert. So yeah, that's okay. New shortcuts with grapples. River Limb, Farador Water Clump, Cafe B Water. Okay, there's one for Cafe B Water Obelisk. That's kind of cool for anyone's making orbs. Iron Men will like that because then you can make faster water orbs to go on your staffs. Okay, so nothing major here. I think with agility, is that the end of agility? Yep, that's the end of agility. I think they should have buffed the XP rates. I think, especially with Hala's Sepulchre, with how intensive it is, it doesn't match the XP rates. Not maybe as every other skill, because I know some skills are stupid XP rates, like Winter Tart, fire making. But I think for how not that important agility is, to go from 80 to 99, you can really boost up those rates, and you won't be affecting the gameplay in any way. It won't have a negative impact on the economy either. And still, everyone's been asking for it. Why don't they make it so you can spend your Hallowed Sepulchre tokens for Marks of Grace? I've seen that suggested so many times. Let's now talk about Guardians of the Rift. I enjoy Guardians of the Rift. I haven't touched it since I got greenlogged it, apart from Pet. I don't really see the point, because you just do Bloods and Souls. So allowing players to purchase the Abyssal Needle. Yeah, I like that. Be a bit annoying to go dry on that. Allow the Abyssal Land to function outside of Guardians of Rift. This means that normal oak, maple, and yew logs won't have any function outside of the Rift, but willow, blisterwood, magic, and redwood will. I think redwood logs. I think the Abyssal Lantern with redwood logs is the big change. It is. Essence Pounds will no longer degrade, and the effect of Oak and Willow Lantern will be applied. That is so nice. That's so nice. So now you have a choice between choosing between getting 10% extra runes, because that's realistically what you're going to do. 20% extra blood runes, which is actually insane. Or essence pouch is not changing. So if you're doing blood rune crafting, you're going to add in the blisterwood and then get those extra 20% blood runes on top of your already amplifiers, such as the outfit and the blood essence. So that's a big buff to how many blood runes you can get. And then if you're doing anything else, you would probably go for redwood. I don't think you'd go for 5% extra runes. I think you would go for the essence pouches. If you're using essence pouches, them not being able to degrade is insanely high. Like really nice. Oh, you get the oak and willow as well. 5% extra runes. So I think you would probably choose between redwood and blisterwood would be the main two you'd be using. But the fact to be used outside of Guardians Rift is really good. Really good. And have a Guardian's Eye to unlock a permanent metamorphosis on the Rift Guardian, rather than taking up your space for rank. That's good, I guess, for UIMs out there. Tempros. I quite like Tempros. Again, I haven't touched it since. So with this gauge, if you've still greenlogged it, you won't really go back to Guardians of Rift, I don't think. Not when Blood Rune Crafting, Soul Rune Crafting is available, or the higher click intensive, maybe ZMI. So with Tempros, allow players to purchase the fish barrel and tackle box for 6,000 spirit flakes each. I really like that change. A lot of people do go dry, so being able to have some bit of dry protection with spirit flakes, it's a good change. Coral, I hated coral farming, and I didn't see any usage to it really. I don't think the potions are that important. The super fishing one is kind of nice for early levels, and that's about it. So they're making it so that coral has more harvest life, so it's less likely to die. You can get coral frags back from the corals. Just some stat random, and increase yield. I'm guessing. Yeah, you get increased yield. Increase at 77, lower yield at 99 farming. Why are they lower yield rate? Okay, so again, Jagged seem to like to buff and then nerf. Corals aren't that important for the game. So they buff lower levels and then nerf if you've got 99 farming. I think that's a bad change. Just buff it. We don't need the nerf. Nobody likes nerfs, but especially when it's a pointless nerf. I don't think super fishing potions or the armored abus are going to tank down in price by this little extra nerf buff here. So removing the Make X interface when you log on an existing bonfire. Okay, that's good for people who want AFK fire making. They're removing the herbal level requirement on the Regent pouch. I didn't know there was one. They improved shark lure so that the increased rate at which you fish from 5 ticks to 4 ticks per roll. 20% increase in the speed at which you catch sharks. That's nice. I think with fishing, deep sea trawling, if you get your hunter and your sailing and your fishing level up, you're not really going to be going catching sharks. You're going to be doing like the bluefins, maybe the marlins. My personal favourite is the bluefins. 22 health plus 5 prayer is a really nice. Plus you get the benefit of you get the marlins from the glistening shoals. So I don't think I'm ever going to fish sharks again. I guess if you're going for the big shark, it might be good. Or if you're going for the lunar half of the keys, you can fish sharks for a good chance to get them. And they buffed the elite clue rate from heroes from 25% from 1 in 1,400 to 1 in 1050. Okay. For people that want to go for elite clues and want to thieve their way for it. PVM changes. Right. Now this is my bread and butter. This might be what I'm a bit more knowledgeable about. I love the Corrupted Gauntlet. Let's see what changes they've decided to do. So we're guaranteed a random demi-spawn at the north, east, south, west most rooms from the centre, meaning 4 demi-bosses with fixed locations, but the specific demi-boss that you encounter will still be random. Okay, so guaranteed demi-boss, that's nice. While we're talking demi-bosses, we'd also like to reduce the minimum attack range from 16 to 10. Okay, so when you open it up, you're not going to get attached straight away. And added a guaranteed weapon frame drop from your first low-tier NPC kill. So one of the metas at the moment is you'd kill a couple of, I think it's 2 or 3 low-tiered, like the rat, the bats, and spider, to get the first weapon frame, and then you go kill the demi-boss. So they're nice changes. Personally, I would rather they make it so that the demi-boss drops a universal weapon attachment, so that you can use it to perfect any of the 3 weapon types. So you don't have to hunt specific types of demi-bosses. You can just make whatever 2 weapons that you have the good stats for. So if you have 99 strength, 99 range, you should be always be able to perfect the melee weapon and the bow. I think it should be, instead of having a spike drop, for instance, like a crystal spike, you should get a crystal enchantment. I don't know why you'd have to go and hunt specific demi-bosses, depending on your stats. Anyway, let's continue with the changes that we're actually making. So they're making Friend Bark, the Ore, and the Terrarium stackable. That's big. That's a big change. You won't have to drop them on the floor anymore. You can get your 16 fish or whatever fish you need. Automatic placed crystal shards in your inventory rather than having to pick them up. Another great change. We've reduced the variance of the number of crystal shards dropped by enemies, meaning the number of enemies you need to kill should feel more consistent between runs. Okay, that's good. Standardizing the stats of the regular, meaning not demi-boss enemies within tiers, so it's not better to kill a wolf over a scorpion, for example. I always just killed whatever. I normally always went for a unicorn because I felt like the unicorn gave more shards. But yeah, I like that. Simplify the number of crystal shards used to create various pieces of equipment so that you're not reliant on remembering the odd numbers or over-reliant on the plugin. So I do use the plugin. So crafting a tier weapon, no shards down from 20, 50 down from 60, armors going from 50 to 40. So overall it's going to be less shards to create the armors and the weapons. By 30 for like a tier 1 set. I do tier 1 prep, so tier 1 set you're looking at 30 difference. Tier 3 prep is 50 difference. And a 10 difference for tier 2. I was kind of hoping for a few more changes to Gauntlet. So these quality of life changes, they're not massive. They're not going to make a big difference. They'll make the run a bit nicer to do. Might speed it up very slightly, but it's more about just it's not stackable. Yeah, okay. I was hoping for a bit more change. Personally, I was hoping for quite some big changes. I think they could easily win with a demi-boss change. Just make it drop a universal ornament, and then you can perfect whatever weapon you want. You don't have to make perfect the weapon that they tell you, that the demi-boss has, but whatever. Right, other PVM or PV. Oh, I can see Chambers of Zerek. I like the look of this. So add a minimum number of player attacks before the Phantom Musper can change styles to prevent constant back to swips, makes the fight frustrating. So at the moment it changes style depending on its HP. Now it would be depending on how many times you hit it. I like that change. It's a good change. Add a minimum number of player attacks before demonic gorillas can change overheads. Again, great change. Less swapping styles. Lower the duration of Phantom Musper's homing spikes, so it ends a little sooner. That's nice. Add a cooldown before Scotizo totem can spawn again before being destroyed. That's a very good change for the Skotos hunters. Scotizo can be super annoying. You kill the 4 eyes and then they instantly respawn. Reduce the size of Scotizo Arena so that you can be more focused on damage dealing than running around. Nice. Remove the restriction on lifesteal effects against the Wardens of Elidinus or the Tumican, meaning that the Blood Fury and Sanguine Staff would be able to function here. That'd be good for people learning, I guess. I don't think any sort of high level PVM, unless you're really pushing out your boundaries, is going to use the Blood Fury here against the Wardens or Tumican. You pretty much you major range it. So I guess that's interesting. Sang Staff learners. They're reducing the chivalry drain rate so it matches Deadeye and Mystic Vigor. That's decent for those who don't have piety. Prevent the Surge Potion cooldown from being reset on death inside the Chambers of Zerek since it introduces a feels bad meta for speedrunners. Good for them. And they're preventing the progress in the night waves from being reset if you leave Aridor. That makes it a bit easier to get piety. Now, Chambers of Zerek. I hate Chambers of Zerek. I hate that. How dry you can go, how rare the Twisted Bow is compared to the other mega rares. And the prayer scrolls feel so bad to get. And in challenge mode, it hasn't got reduced rate, so hopefully this will change. Let's have a look. So the unique table is weighted heavily towards Arcane and Dex. Yep, meaning that 58% of uniques that you see on average will be a prayer scroll. Everybody hates it. We got CMs, which add Twisted Ancestral Kit and Metamorphic Dust. And after you get that, you normally just quit doing CMs because there's no other reason to do them. But don't make any adjustment to the ordinary loot. So, and obviously in Tob, you get reduced chance of getting the Avernic, which is good. And the high weighting of prayer scrolls applying to CM Cox has been a frequent topic discussion. So they basically want it to be like Tob. That's what people are saying. But we've been hesitant to make a simple change here since we think the problem is a little more complicated. So I'd like to talk to you and propose something a little out of the box. Should be interesting. So they're going with either approach 1, which is to reduce the prayer scroll weighting slightly, and nothing else. It would closely mirror hard mode Tob. So what is hard mode Tob? The Avernic Defender Hilt, the most common unique, has its weighting reduced by 7.7. It makes all the other uniques more common. Okay, so it'd be, you could still get scrolls, but it'd be less common. Which puts downward pressure on every unique in the table. Downward pressure means that the supply is increased and value likely drops as a result. That's fine. Prayer scroll weighting is so high that you'd likely still see them frequently unless we reduce the weighting drastically, which would result in very significant increase of other drops. There's so many drops on the table that it doesn't matter. Some items can't really absorb this downward pressure and still maintain a healthy value, namely the Twisted Buckler and Din's Bulwark. The Twisted Buckler could be a 15mm item. As soon as you get the T-bow, you're barely going to touch it. And Din's Bulwark is used to do Kefri, speedruns, and Prayer Train. That could be a 1mm item and I wouldn't care. Also, a Dragon Hunter Crossbow and Dragon Claws. Most people with Dragon Lance would kill Vorkath with a lance instead of using Dragon Hunter Crossbow. Dragon Hunter Crossbow, in my experience, has mainly just been used for Ulm. And Dragon Claws to a lesser extent. Burning Claws destroy Dragon Claws, not a reduced drop rate or an increased drop rate. And Burning Claws are like 2 mil. A reduced prayer scroll rate and reduced purple chance. That's a really bad idea. Purple's already stupidly rare at Cox. It feels awful. You have to scale it quite high. So many players feel as though purple chests at Cox are too infrequent as it is, making them more infrequent would feel bad. I fully agree with that sentiment. So far, I'm with approach 1. Or approach 3, increase the purple chance. Still puts downward pressure on everything, still results in mostly seeing prayer scrolls. Purples are more frequently seen, which probably does make the raid feel better. I think I prefer approach number 3. I think you still have a higher purple chance. Just having less scrolls won't feel that great because the purples are still rare. But having more purples, even if it's more scrolls, will feel better. I agree. It will make the raid feel better for many players. Unique prices are delicate. I agree with that. I also think Ancestral is quite outdated content. And I think with their current plans of Rage 4 potentially adding a elemental armor, that will reduce the price of Ancestral. And it might also compare to Ancestral using a standard spellbook over powered stats. So I don't think they need to worry too much about the prices of Cox uniques. And the main unique is the Twisted Bow, which is so ridiculously rare to get. Unique prices are delicate, yada yada. So we could, what if the scrolls themselves had some sort of added value to apply upward pressure? Here's an idea we've been toying with. What if you could re-roll a unique? Hypothetical scenario. Players obtain an arcane prayer scroll. Players can withdraw the scroll or re-roll it. Reroll provides a 1 in X chance to roll on the unique table again, but with arcane prayer scroll removed from the table, increasing all other unique ratings. So, I would love this idea if I didn't drop all my all my dupe scrolls. I've dropped all my duplicate scrolls, so for me, being quite biased, I'll have to say I don't like this idea. But I do think it's a general rule of thumb. If you could re-roll a scroll and have a chance of getting a Twisted Bow, that would feel awesome. And we love this gambling dopamine. So maybe for the health of the game, that's quite a good idea. But it also means everyone's going to be merching arcane prayer scrolls. So they want our change thoughts on it. So for me, I like approach number 3, more purples. Just more purples in general is good. I would actually like, and this might be a bit too much pressure, more purples and this. Make it so it's like a 1 in 5 chance of rerolling on a unique table again. Put these two together. I think everyone's going to be happy. Right, let's look at gear changes and rebalancing. Woo! Gear buffs. The Sang Staff. That needed a big increase. So it's increased the chance it can heal. It deals additional 8 damage whenever the heal procs. So it's increased from 1 in 5 up to 1 in 6. So 20% buff or something like that, 13. That's kind of small. Base max hit is increased by 1. Charge cost reduced to 2 bloods from 3. So the charge cost is massive. The increased heal is but I wanted the base max increase a bit more, maybe by +3, +4. No one uses a Sang Staff, apart from people learning raids. And it is a raid reward, quite a rare one from one of the hardest raids currently. I think it could be improved. The IFI currently destroys it, and that's doing solo content Doom. Soul Reaper Axe. Strength bonus increased to 125, up from 121. Is that 1 extra max hit? Stacks to provide +10 damage per stack, up from +6 damage per stack. Stack caps at 3, down from 5. This equates to the same amount of damage, but the faster ramp time. That's good. Okay, I love this change. So it's going to be the same amount of. So it'd be 1 extra max hit, but it only takes 3 hits to get it to max instead of 5. I think that's a very good change. I use the Soul Reaper, and I like that. Because one of the worst things at the moment is, let's say you do a 9-layer boss with a Soul Reaper, you'll get 2 or 3 stacks, and then it starts to degrade. It doesn't go back to melee quick enough, and even at 2 or 3 stacks, you're not at the full potential. So then, the Rapier Stab accuracy increased by +6, and Strength bonus increased by +4. So 1 extra max hit. This guarantees an additional max hit in all setups. That's good. Showing the Rapier a bit of love. We need more bosses that are weak to stab but don't have too high defense, so we can use the rapier. And we're not obliged to use any other sort of melee weapon like the fang. Blade of Saladar, they're buffing that as well. Extra max hit. Might make it a bit more worth it to go for the Blade of Saladar grind. If you get lucky with your double enhanced, if you're an iron or UIM. Soul Reaper is still going to be better. Especially with these changes. And the Soul Reaper grind is, I would argue, is a lot more enjoyable if you enjoy the Desert Treasure 2 bosses compared to going for 2 enhanced like Team of Zeric. Pegasian Boots, so they're buffing Pegasian Boots. That's okay, I guess, for people without max treads. Master Wand is gaining plus 10 damage magic bonus. That's better for lower levels and mid levels. And they're increasing the Ancient Scepters, all the variants of them. Big for this would probably be when you're healing blood, doing Colosseum or Inferno, if you take a Blood Scepter. And also Ice Scepter for Theatre of Blood on freezing the crabs. The Hopper, I've not even bothered going for this because it's so useless. So it's having its second hit accuracy penalty halved. There's not much room to buff this load without it power creeping on a Twisted Buckler, but a small buff just to make it a little bit more worthwhile. So we're just trying to make it a little bit more useful at like places like Nex, where you're relying on the Ruby specs. They've buffed the Bell's Volley Drop, which is the like Timu version of the Rapier, to 1 in 75 instead of 256, which makes sense to me from a boss. It's like a mid-game weapon. Venibow, I love the Venibow. I use that at Colosseum. So it's been made more consistent thanks to new engine capabilities. It's hard to quantify this, but in effect, it should mean that the bow finds new targets more reliably. That'd be good for Slayer people as well. Inquisitor. Oh, now here's some good changes, or some big changes, I should say. Remove the Inquisitor set bonus. This allows all pieces of and the mace to function better independently rather than locking their utility to complete a set. That's better for people who are grinding it. Yeah, I guess that's just better for people with like 2 pieces. Inquisitor Maze gains plus 5 strength bonus and plus 7 crit accuracy bonus. That'd be a plus 1 strength max hit. And maybe 2 max hit. That's okay. I think they're just putting it in line with the Saildor and also the Rapier. I would argue that Inquisitor Mace is a lot harder to get than the Saildor. And probably the Rapier doing top. The Great Helm gains 2 plus crit accuracy, putting its total crush to 10 instead of 8. Cool. And the Inquisitor Hopper gains plus 4 crit accuracy. But I feel like they're just getting it kind of ready for Rage 4 if it ends up being a crush raid. But the grind on getting Inquisitor is such a long grind. For any non-main, it might not be worth it. Okay, I thought there was going to be higher drops. There might be later on. The Shaman Mask magic bonus increased. Who uses that? Okay. Burning Claw's special attack energy cost is increased to 35 from 30. Good. Because as it currently stands, it is you can do 4 special attacks with a Surge Potion with Burning Claws, and that is what put the Dragon Claws to a weaker state. So yeah, I like that. 35, 70, 105. That seemed like a good change. Oh yeah, they've mentioned as well. As opposed to stepping any stones of things like Dragon Claws or Void Waker. Yeah, I agree. So Burning Claws, they cost nothing. They were too strong in my opinion. They're talking about 2 other items in this category that overperform considerably in PvP scenarios. So Eclipse Alatal made to attack 1 tick slower unless a full Eclipse set is worn. The Alatal's 3 tick speed coupled. So a lot of PvPers have said that they don't like the Alatal. It's really strong. And the Soul Flame Horn special attack just to provide 50% accuracy rather than 100. That's just for multi-team peeking, I guess. Rosewood Blowpipe, also be able to use up to Rune. It's good, I guess. For the teamy version of the Blowpipe. Early game, I feel like every update is early or mid games. I feel like we don't get enough late game changes, but let's go into it. Although, looking at this, so it looks like they are buffing Inquisitors but they're not increasing the drop rate. The current drop rate of Inquisitors is a stupidly long grind, and Inquisitors is so niche, it's not worth the grind. I strongly believe even if Inquisitor becomes best in slot at Rage 4, people will still take Torva over Inquisitors because the difference in DPS won't be big enough. That's my prediction, but we shall see. And if people have to then go and farm out Fasani's Nightmare, they'll realise how bad that grind is. So new game. Early game Slayer has a whole herd of monsters who no longer have any interest in loot. So we're on about increasing the loot tables for early game monsters, like crawling hands maybe. That'd be cool. New magic amulets. +2 to its elemental max hit. Amulet of Air, made using Air Diamond. Oh, so this is coming from, okay, so Kilowatts are dropping Air, Sea Snake, Water, Molinisk, never killed one of those, drop an Earth Emerald, and Infernal Mages drop a Fire Emerald. Cool. Crafting each of these amulets will have a rune crafting linked 18 to 22. A new ranged necklace called Necklace of Fangs drops from Turoths at weight of 1 in 28. So this is just like a Timu. It's a Timu Angus. Changing to Abyssal Creatures, increase Rune Essence pouch drop from Abyssal Guardians to 1 in 8, up from 1 in 42. That's massive. Makes it a lot easier to get the pouches. Yeah. Lower light and heavy range defense from Abyssal Guardians, Abyssal Walkers down to 0. Yeah, no one kills Abyssal. So they basically say no one's killing Abyssal Guardians other than for pouches, and we're just making it a little bit better for you guys to get it. Well, a lot better for you guys to get your pouches. Full restore run energy and cure any damage over time effects like poison, upcoming upon completing quest. Early game run energy improvements. Fully restore run energy and cure any damage over time like effects like poison upon completing a quest. Isn't that just so you'd have to go to a bank after you've done a quest? It's interesting, I guess. It'd be just like Mahogany Homes where you drink tea at the end of it and your energy goes back up. Add 1 to 3 dose energy potions to a variety of early game loot tables. That's a fairly common dropping rate. That's good. Buff energy potions to restore 15% run energy per dose. Good. It's like a miniature stamina. Adjust herbal recipe for energy potions so that they can be made from an unfinished Grand potion instead of an unfinished Hollander potion. Yeah. Great last option to lecterns for teleport tablet makers. Make the Noble Lucky Penno charge saving effect an account unlock for completing the Master Tier Combat Achievement rather than requiring the item to be worn. That is big, actually. And the reason that's big, because a lot of people will equip a quiver, they'll have Dragon Bolts or Dragon Arrows in the quiver, and then they'll have the other, like they'll have Dragon Arrows in the quiver, and then they'll have Dragon Bolts in their inventory. So they'll actually lose the normal penny effect. So actually making it that once you've done it, you no longer need to wear it. I'm hoping that also means you don't need to have it in your inventory as well. If it's an account unlock, it means you just automatically get the charge saving effects. So I don't see why you'd ever take the Lucky Penny anymore. But yeah, that's a very big change for any like T-Bow users like T-Bow and Zarek crossbow users. The Seed Vault to respect locked inventory slots, cool. Remove the timeout cooldown of making parties at the Theatre of Blood. I didn't know there was a cooldown, but that's okay. On entering the fight caves too many times. Okay. Allow pets to follow you into content like Gauntlet, Fossil Island, Underwater Area, various minigames, and respawn with you on death. Still don't think people are going to have their pets out. Although pets are rare, that's like a general individual pet. Getting a pet or one pet in your account is fairly common. It doesn't really mean much. If you get like a transmogged Cox pet, I guess that's kind of cool. Or a Tob pet. But yeah, this is a good change for the pet enjoyers. I find them to be cumbersome. I hate having my pet out. For instance, if you're doing like Tombs of a Mascot and you're on the enrage phase right at the end of the fight, and you have your pet blocking the shadow so you can't see where you're meant to be where to stand on. It's just an annoying. It's like the throws. I always have my throws hidden. Yeah, they're annoying to see. Potential changes, feedback desired. Cool, they want our feedback. What do we want to know about birdhouses? Birdhouse absolutely eclipsed the hunter skill while the additional hunter rumors went some weight dethroning them. Birdhouse accounted for a huge chunk of all hunter XP. I'm lazy, I don't do my birdhouse runs. In short, we'd like to try something. Oh, the nightmare. This is good. I like this. I'm so glad they meant to talk about nightmare more. So they're increasing the nest output by 50% and make them more consistent so that you're not getting a couple on one run and filling your inventory on the next. Great change. If they're increasing the nest output, I feel like you're going to have too many nests now and you're going to be dropping nests on the floor. They're reducing the XP offered by checking them with a big reduction at the low end and small reduction at the top end. You don't need to reduce the XP. Hunter is a great skill, and bird nest, you get to do 1 every hour. You get to do 4 nests every hour. You don't need to reduce that XP. Just leave it as it is. Nightmare of Ashima. I'm going to skip all this because this is kind of jargon. They are right. The loot table feels bloated. I feel like the loot table feels crap. Other than the, I don't think it's bloated with too much gear. I just think the majority of the loot's crap unless you get uniques. Some bosses have very little functional appeal to players at stage late game. Inquisitor doesn't feel worthwhile unlock. 100% agree. So then, they're on about moving the volatile and eldritch orbs off the nightmare loot table. I think that's fair. Wait, where are we going to put it? It might be a stronger thematic here to have the nightmare drop a generic orb and have it be charged with some unique essence that drops from other NPCs rather than bosses all over again or stumbling across these shining spheres. Yeah, I guess. I mean, if there's less chance to get an orb, I mean, the orb is already the rarest things to get. And they're on about volatile and eldritch. And let the harmonized orb absorb the weighting off the other orbs. For Sonic's Nightmare, this would mean a drop rate of around 1 in 533, up from 1 in 1,600. Massively agree with that change. I do feel like the reason they're doing this buff with the harmonized orb, making it so that it's more common, or wanting to do it, is because they're focusing on this potential elemental armor from Rage 4, which I don't like. I don't like elemental armor. The idea of taking elemental armor, devaluing ancestral, and then using fire surge everywhere. I wouldn't mind it as much. Maybe if the raffle was a bit more achievable. This is for all irons and UIMs. You need 95 runecrafting. That's an extremely high runecrafting level to need to get like a good supply of ref runes. Increase the rating of a nightmare staff from 3 to 4 so that you're more likely to obtain one by the time you obtain an orb. Good. Increase the generic chance of hitting the Inquisitor nightmare staff loot table by 10% to compensate for the staff's increased weighting. I think you could buff this by 30% and it would finally be around where I'd want the drop rate to be. 10% is too low. This would mean more Inquisitor, more focused loot. 10% isn't enough for Inquisitors. Unless you add some sort of drive protection. Just like we've done at Yama. Which is, I'm surprised they've done at Yama and not places like Nex, where you could break down the armor. So for instance, in this instance, I would like to be able to break down 3 dupe Inquisitor pieces to make a new Inquisitor piece. That's good for the game. You'll add item sync without affecting the economy. In fact, putting the price of items up. Overall, good change for people wanting to go for the harmonized orb, and a slight change for people wanting to go for full Inquisitors. Okay, so interesting changes. Overall, I don't really disagree with any of the changes. Every quality of life buff is a buff. They're just slight buffs. I think they could have gone a lot bigger. For the CMs, I think increasing the purple chance and making it so the prayer scrolls could be re-rolled would be a very good combo. The Twisted Bow is, like, when I say it's ridiculously rare, it is the rarest mega rare, but quite a big deal. But yeah, overall, good changes. Sonic's Nightmare is still not going to be a nice grind, even with all these changes. The standard loot there is crap as well. You get bass, like 13 bass, or like 200 death runes, or some Samphy potions. None of the standard loot is good. And I think the only reason the prices off the item, the armor was so low, because because of bots, and also because the armor is so niche that you just didn't need it. Alright, sorry if that went on a bit long, 45 minutes for Summer Sweep Up. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed. Thank you, bye!